All right, you already know who it is. Let me tilt the camera up just a bit. All right, we good. It's been a little minute. So we should go to. We gotta go straight. We gotta go straight to it. All right. So yeah, this definitely was my first time in a courtroom. But before that, take a look at the hair. All right. It's getting kind of crazy on me. Yeah. I guess it's like real skinny in the back. I don't know. All different sizes. You see, it's just crazy. It's just doing whatever it want to do. Right? Or you looking like David. Uh, that's funny. Oh, look, I just had to wear a suit to court. I'm not trying to look like nobody. I just had to put a suit on. I had to go to court. All right. I had a court date. So, I mean, I could. What's going on? What's going on? So, what's going on, Cali 93, 93, 93, 93. Anyway, obviously, if I'm free, then whatever I went to court for is small, right? But this was my first time in courts, and I've been here quite a long time at this point, right? 93, what's up, King Mo? What's up, Mary? Can I hire you for a lawyer? I need one. See, we'll get into it, right? So this was my first time in a court setting, right? So this is since it was my first time having to go to a court building, official building, right? I'm like, okay, of course I'm going to activate the magical elements. I'm not just about to walk in there and allow them to conduct you know what they do, right? The court wizardry. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna get tied up in the theatrics in the theater. That's why I wore all black. First thing, right? So I'm not wearing no color, right? Everything is just contrast, right? Everything is just contrast. So I just have a little color in the shoes. Shoes have a little color. All right. Got a little of that. All right. That's as far as it went. Cause I wanted to go in invisible, pretty much. Not show the personality, just go in completely invisible, completely cloaked, completely shielded. Because now we gotta activate court magic, right? So as we experience new things, like I can say all day, oh, I never been to court, I never really had these type of interactions. But eventually, you have to see what you're really made of. Are you really built to beat the system, right? Especially, if you on this type of time, you doing all type of stuff. And y'all know I've been doing all type of stuff, right? I'm like, oh, they just finally caught up to me. That's all it is. I'm like, okay, I have to at some point pay for my sins. I have to repent because I've been out here doing stuff as usual, right? So at some point, I had to go into their world and go into that environment and see Are you gonna move magically or you're going to be like everybody else, get a lawyer, get an attorney, try to get a deal, plea deal, so on and so forth. So I'm like, no, I'm just gonna educate myself and just know what to say and how to say it, and I'm gonna basically be my own lawyer, right? I'm gonna put my life in my own hands. I'm not gonna really allow somebody else to do what I need to do, right? No, of course, did I do something violent? Obviously, if I would have done something that warranted an arrest, I would have been arrested, right? So there was no type of violence, nobody was harmed, right? None of that. I just basically we'd just say a little traffic ticket, right? A little traffic ticket, right? Nothing, nobody was harmed though, right? It's like I allowed myself to get caught. That's how I interpret. I'm like, I allowed this to happen to myself just to place myself in this environment to see what I'm really made of. I'm not gonna put blame on them or the system, or I'm like, nah, this is all me. I'll take 100% responsibility. This is definitely all me. Just so I can put on a fucking suit. I'm like, okay, what can you really do with this? Right? Are we gonna really reflect this energy? Right? Like how can we manipulate this? Some people wear suits every goddamn day, right? No, it wasn't a speeding ticket, nah. But I think I definitely got a couple points. I got a couple points now, right? So I'm not an innocent man no more. I'm not walking through clean, so I didn't have police interactions. They didn't gave me tickets. But I'm like, was I ever supposed to move through this bitch clean? I'm like, probably not. Regardless, I'm like, let me use this as an opportunity to see what I can do. Work the court magic, be a court magician, play the theater. And what I noticed is when I walked into the court building, it was only like majority of the people were dressed like normal. It was only like a couple little groups that were like suited up. It wasn't like everybody, because I guess most people pretty much go to the courthouse to file things, right? File motions. So everybody doesn't go to the courthouse to see a judge. They be filing motions, they got situations going on. So everybody is not coming in like this. I thought that's how it would be. Because I'm thinking just everybody is going in here to see a judge, but that's not necessarily the case. So I ended up not even having to see a judge. That's just how crazy it is. I'm like, okay. They're like, your name is not even on the list. Go to customer service. I go to customer service. I just had to see one of the servants of the court, and I'm like, all right, you got $150 fine. You got 90 days to pay it. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. I didn't plead guilty. I pled no contest. That was the first thing. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna plead no contest. That means I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. Like, I'm not saying I did it. I'm not saying I didn't do it. Cause I'm like, okay, I have to go back in 2 weeks. So I didn't see the judge. I'm gonna actually see the judge in 2 weeks. So I will be back. So I got a little taste. So you can say today I was kind of overdressed. I'm not gonna actually see the judge for 2 weeks. So yeah, it's just for something minor. However, I feel like I've been in very dangerous situations. but this was not one of them. But they didn't lead me into a courtroom. What I mean by this is I didn't even start experiencing certain things until this year, 2026. Once 2026 came in, I started to deal with things I've never dealt with before. I'm like, oh, I've never dealt with this before. Oh, I never dealt with this. So it's like it's been a lot of things that's been occurring that I haven't really dealt with before. New experiences, good and bad, indifferent, neutral. So it required me to update my formulas. I started to see that what was working in 2025, obviously, it's not going to apply to 2026. Everything has to be broken down and rebuilt again to match the current vibrations and frequency on the planet. So you can say in a way a certain reality faded. You can say that reality had been mastered. Essentially what we have been doing last 10 years. This is a new phase. So this will be unlike anything we have experienced in the last 10 years. So I'm seeing that through the interactions that I'm having in the situations I'm getting into. I'm like, well, I wasn't getting into the mastered. Now I have to conquer a new plane. Now I have to go out there and claim new territory, you can say. New skills have to be mastered, learned and mastered. All these things must be directed towards new vibrations, new energies, and eventually just creating. Again, it's a 1 year, 2026. The one is the foundation. So creating a brand new foundation, essentially. Starting from the ground up, starting from the bottom, you could say. So life has just been kind of like, all right, well, if you don't do that, we're gonna make sure that you have no choice to do it because we're gonna lock your ass up. Like, okay, if you don't do it, you're gonna be okay. So life just showed me, okay, if you don't go with these adaptations, we're gonna pretty much take you. We're gonna take away your freedom. Not necessarily because you did anything crazy, just some little stupid ass shit that gets you lost in the system. Yeah, like somebody speeding, for example, they have to spend a fucking 30 days in jail. But those 30 days in jail could dramatically affect your life, right? Like that's you could potentially lose your job in those 30 days because you're not reporting to work. Then you can potentially lose your whatever the place that you rent. So even though it's just 30 days, you can say that can be dramatic to somebody who's not prepared for those 30 days. So I had to start thinking like, like, okay, if I actually did go to jail, am I prepared for this? What would you come back to? Would you come back to a job? Would you come back to a home? Would you have to essentially start all the way from the ground up? Most likely, right? So life is like, all right, you either gonna start from the ground up because we put you in a crazy situation, or you're gonna put yourself in crazy situations and show yourself that you have to apply new material and new calculations and combinations. Going into the court magic and the court gestures and how everything is ritualistic and symbolic and ultimately you only be in there about 10 minutes. All right. This is not like cases where you see on TV where people are arguing back and forth. The best approach is to not explain shit. This is what I've been learning. The best approach isn't well, this was going on, so I had to do this. I had to work. I had to feed my family. I had to do this. They didn't heard every excuse possible and every different angle and situation. When you just simply say, all right, I did it, it ain't gonna happen again. You're not really over explaining what you did, why you did it, how you did it. You're not really going into much detail at all. Cause it really don't matter. They're really looking at because they don't know who you are in your personal life. They only know what you present to them that day. So if you present yourself like a person with a bunch of excuses, that doesn't come off to them as somebody who has learned their lesson because they're still pointing the blame at other things and other people. So somebody who's coming in there with paragraphs of details and stories and why this happened and all this is basically trying to get the judge to have sympathy for you because of your situation or you got put in a tough situation. This is just what you had to do because of the situation you put yourself in. You skip all of that and just say, all right, I did it. I take responsibility for what I did, and this is what I'm doing to correct the issue and make sure it doesn't occur again. It was never about the detail because when most people go into details, they start getting emotional or they may get combative with the judge if the judge is like lecturing them and all that. All the people go through their various emotions and they basically get you the crack because they put you under pressure because they can talk crazy to you and you can't talk crazy back. So they trying to see how can you really handle true criticism? Or are you going to be a person who got something to say every time the judge talk, right? They're only judging you off of what you present to them and their Saturn, right? What I mean by their Saturn is all about the pressure, right? Saturn is about creating that permanent mark. Like, oh, I've been through this, that scar, right? Saturn, it scarred you. So they're trying to scar you to see what's underneath your skin, what's underneath the presentation, what's underneath the words. They're trying to cut you open and see how you respond when you bleed. Are you going to lash back at them? Are you going to blame the police officer, the security guard, the people around? Or are you going to internalize and then go through the process of learning the lesson, the internalized lesson? This is essentially why you have to fucking wear a suit in the first place, or, you know, some type of formal business attire. The whole purpose of even doing this shit is to cloak your personality. You want your personality to not even be noticeable. You don't want to give no indication of what you do in your personal life. You don't want to give no hints of who you are, what you could be, what you don't want to give no indication of anything whatsoever. So you want your presentation to cloak your real essence. So you're not there to try to show yourself and be honest and pour your heart out, trying to prove your innocence. That's not what you're here to do. You're presenting yourself as an entity. You are the entity of your name in all caps. All right. So you're presenting yourself. to the point where you are the watcher. It's like you're watching yourself present. You're not going, because if you put yourself in that situation, the judge is all the way up here, you're all the way down here, they talking crazy to you. If you start taking things personal, obviously that's going to rile you up internally. Your emotions are going to start to, because you will feel personally attacked. But it's like somebody criticizing your business versus criticizing you. The judge is more so criticizing your business. Yes, you are the business owner, but you are not the business. You are separate from your business. But let's just say somebody is trying to sue your business. That don't mean they suing you. That means they suing your business. So that's not a reflection of you on a personal level. That's just a reflection of their experience with the business. Because they may not even had an interaction with you personally. They just may have had an interaction with the business. It may have been a misunderstanding that occurred, whatever the case. So again, you as a personal person is irrelevant. So people come into the courtroom trying to present their personality, trying to present themselves in their situation like the shit matters, and hopefully the judge understands and be sympathetic when especially if you are actually fucking guilty, if you actually did what they accuse you of doing, right? Because if you did what they accuse you of doing, that means you're not going to take it to trial. Because if you take it to trial and you know you already guilty, they already looking at you like you just about to waste our time. You're not. There's no way you can prove that you didn't do this. You was caught red-handed, and you still want to take it to trial. Now you about to take us all through a loop, and now we got to deal with it. And that's why when you actually lose and you take it to trial and you lose, that's why they give you a hefty fine for doing that. Cause like you just basically waste everybody's time and you're gonna pay for that. Versus just pleading guilty or pleading no contest, accepting it, but not admitting to it. You accept, but don't admit to it. They're like, all right, you're not gonna fight us on it. Yeah, you basically you did it and you willing to accept the consequence. Like, all right, you about to make sure we get home on time today. That's not going to put a person in a position to give you a harsh sentence because you just know how to manipulate the law. The law can be manipulated. Again, that's why we are in control of what we wear, how we present ourselves. All these things can be, we have control over these things, right? We have control over not taking things personal, stepping outside of ourselves, presenting ourselves as an entity, not taking anything personal. So you don't lose your composure, you don't lose your disposition, you don't fall into the traps that they set for you. Because they be trying to ask you personal questions, but you ain't supposed to give personal answers. Why was you doing this? I understand I was wrong. I shouldn't have been doing it. I'm taking these actions to correct it, Your Honor. You ain't going into no fucking details as to why you did what you did. It's like it's not gonna fucking matter. It's not gonna help you as much as you may think. Like, okay, this judge is gonna look at me as a human being. No, the fuck they not. They judging. They weighing your heart against the feather. It's more so a spirit. If they feel in their spirit that you're innocent, then they're gonna rule as such. If they feel in their spirit, because again, they're supposed to be empty vessels. A judge is supposed to be an empty vessel, meaning they're not even supposed to bring their personal life into the role that they play. Right? That's a part of being a judge. You're supposed to keep your own personal shit to yourself. That should not influence how you rule when you are over a case. Your ruling over a case should not be influenced who you are as a person. Meaning who you are as a person should not influence how you rule in a case as a judge, right? So you can completely disagree with a person's belief system or whatever, but that should not influence how you judge them. So as a judge, you keeping your personal shit outside of the courtroom. So if the judge is keeping the personal shit outside of the courtroom, then why the fuck would you bring your personal shit? Their whole job is to keep that shit outside and just be an open vessel for the spirit to judge. That's what a judge is supposed to be doing, right? They're just vessels. So if Saturn says, "Oh yeah, this guilty motherfucker is lying and wasting our time," let's give them a harsh sentence versus, "All right, this motherfucker learned their lesson, they accept their deeds. Here you go. Just pay this fine and we'll leave you alone. Pay the fine. We ain't worried about it. Give us our money. You owe us, but you keep your freedom. Give us our money, but keep your freedom." Because if you don't show up to court, they put a warrant out on your ass. So it's like they put you in a situation where you can't miss court. Like, okay, you can miss court if you want, but now you having a warrant for your arrest. So if you ever come into contact with the police again, they just gonna take you up the streets, which can be random, right? Who you never know when you gonna interact with these motherfuckers. So they put you in a situation where now you're in ritual mode. As soon as you get a ticket and you got to appear, okay, you have an appearance. Now I put you in ritual mode. Cause like, all right, now I have to fight for my freedom. But fighting for your freedom isn't what people think, right? You don't necessarily have to put it in somebody else's hands. You can put it in your own hands, which is not common. That's not what people usually do. People usually pay the professionals to fight for you. It just depends on how much you really trust your own magical ability. How much do you really trust the spirit? That's what it come down to. Because if you really got your heart and soul into the spirit, then that's where you're gonna put all of your currency. Not just money, but all of your currency. So that's why I'm like, okay, this is the perfect time to practice court magic. Let me see how this goes. That way, now I'm not just talking about something I read. Now I'm talking about something I actually did because I was put in a situation where I had to do it. So this gives me an opportunity to test this experience and to see if it was useful or if it's something that is you shouldn't bother with. So I'm like that in that sense, I understand why I have to go through the things I have to go through because I have to like, okay, I've been in this situation before. So when I recommend things, I can like this is based off of actual experience, not because I read this in a book somewhere. So it's like necessary for me to go through as much shit as I possibly can go through so that way I can have some type of grounding in what I have to say versus just from a scholarly approach. We're not really dealing with this from a scholarly approach, like because we read a bunch of information. This is because we was really navigating them streets, right? Which we was, right? We don't have to explain. So we know all this is off of blood, sweat, and tears, right? This is not, yes, a lot of books was read, but more experience was had than books, right? The knowledge eventually had to become wisdom, discernment, right? At some point, we had to gain discernment from all of the information and knowledge we were intaking. And then that discernment, that means now you're utilizing it on in your actual life. It ain't something you read and you just, it's like, that's how I look at social media nowadays. It's like it's just shit that you watch and then shit that like don't matter after the fact. It's like so like I ain't even really been on TikTok and Instagram and like I'm always on YouTube learning some shit. So like YouTube always has like a because I prefer the long term content. I don't prefer like a 60-second video trying to teach you how to do something. So it's like TikTok and the Instagrams, that don't really make sense when you're trying to really dig into learning like new skills and all that. Like YouTube is always going to be the go-to for that. But in terms of social media, like I find myself just not interested in like what other people are doing, what other people are talking about. I'm like, this shit is not because every most people are distracted. They're not really even most people just gushing their feelings out, pouring their feelings out, trying to be heard and shit. Egomania, right? Egomaniacs. They're trying to get something from it, right? Most people are. Most people is looking for some type of fame, some type of clout. So you don't really get an authentic message from most people because there's something on the back end of that frequency. They may not say it, but there's always something that come attached. Or that, as they say, there's always strings attached with some shit. Some people just make certain videos just because it's gonna get numbers, just because it's gonna, go into the algorithms, and it's business, it's marketing, right? So I'm not here to judge anybody say they should or shouldn't be doing anything. It just means that you really don't know what's authentic and what's not. You don't really know the intents of why people are doing what they're doing and saying what they're saying, and who has put a battery in their back, who's, putting the money behind them, or is it just them genuinely? You really would never know that. However, when it comes to us, we know we passed that a long time ago, right? We stopped asking for donations and all that. We passed that shit a long time ago because we wanted this to be completely authentic because it's only for a certain type of person, right? You see, I don't really do anything to promote myself, or I'm trying to get more exposure, more views. You see, I don't even care about that shit, right? I'm like, it's all about the wizardry. It's all about the mastery of self. It ain't about how many people can see me talk, right? I mean, that's irrelevant. So because I'm like, most people is not even gonna understand the shit anyway. So like, this is not for the mainstream. So it don't there's no need for people who don't even understand what's going on to even have an opinion about what's being said. So I never make my content for the masses and the mainstream, and for people that may, for new people, we don't give a fuck about these people who have no idea about what's going on. They just popped up, and they pop in, they pop out. We're not worried about them. But for those who have been along with the journey for as long as you've been on, you've seen it and you experienced it. You see, we always make our way back, right? Because I'm like, if I keep my freedom, I might as well do a video. Because I'm like, the only way I wouldn't do a video if they locked my ass up. Well, they didn't lock my ass up. I'm still free. So I'm like, here I am. I did a video, right? Because this has really been tormenting my mind. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is gonna happen. I don't know. I don't know what the players will be. I don't know how they're gonna respond. So I just had to slowly just educate myself and prepare myself mentally, spiritually, emotionally for whatever attacks they may have tried to bring, whatever daggers they may have tried to sneak in. I had to be prepared for all these things. That's why I'm like, I gotta have like a full fucking suit. It's not enough just to have a dress shirt and a tie. I'm like, okay, that's not enough. I gotta be fully cloaked. Like it has to be just like it ain't enough just to come like this. I have to, that has to be there, right? That has to be a part of the performance, right? I have to activate the ion. If it's fucking Saturn, then why wouldn't I activate ion? Ion is the eye, right? Hebrew. We should know these things, right? So I'm like, okay, I need to have ion activated, right? So I'm seeing these things, how the so-called people that run the world, everything is about doing things behind the scenes or in plain sight. So it appears like nothing is being done, but everything matters. What I mean by that is, it's like watching a movie and not realizing that they're programming us when they're putting in certain imagery and symbolism that's never explained, but that's just there. You would have to really be a decoder of symbolism to even understand what that means. Like again, like when you're watching a movie and you're seeing all this imagery and all this symbolism, but none of this shit is ever explained. The subconscious is still picking up on these things. So that means every time you watch a movie, it's like you're watching something on a conscious level, but you're watching something completely different on a subconscious level. Because if you just It's like watching a silent movie. If you really want to test this out, just watch the movie without the words. Just use the captions. Watch a movie or a series with the caption, no sound. And watch how more of the imagery that you register when you're not so caught up in the special effects and the voices and everything that's going on sound wise, when you're not immersed in the sound of the movie and you're just looking at the symbolism, you're going to realize that this is a completely different movie than what I think it is, because the whole point of the sound is to capture your mind, to keep you, you can say, asleep, while the real movie is playing undetected. It's so much to the point where I don't even watch movies no more. I don't play games. Like, I left all that shit in my past life, right? I don't watch series. I don't have a Netflix subscription, and I don't watch much of what anybody does because I don't know what they're doing it for. It's to the point, even music. I don't even listen to other people's music no more. I done made so much of my own music. I'm like, I don't even need to listen to it. Because the only reason I was listening to other people's music is because of the feel. It was never because of the words. I'm like, I'm not, their words is not events for me to be captured by the words. Everybody's not rhyming on a Wu-Tang level or a Nas level, right? So that most people are not at that level. So most music is just like people putting together rhymes. Like, I'm not impressed by most people's wordplay. Again, but everybody's not a wordsmith like that, right? But I am. So I'm like, I need to make my own guy. If I want to be impressed by words, I got to make my own music. If I want to create certain vibes and dimensions, I might as well make my own goddamn music. If that way I can open up the portals and the channels and the gateways that I want to open up, instead of trying to find it. And somebody else may have hit that dimension, somebody else may have hit that portal. I don't even care no more. I don't know whose music is out. I don't know what's on the radio. It's like, it just is completely irrelevant to me. Unless I like come across it on like TikTok, for example. So sometimes I will get on TikTok. So if somebody it's like has a song. Like, if I hear anything new, I'm probably gonna hear it through TikTok and somebody put it in a video. Other than that, I just listen to my own music because that's what stimulates me. You can say completely, right? Because I can take it, I can give it a certain feel, and then I'm gonna give it the wordplay. So I'm mentally stimulated and also emotionally stimulated. So I got the full synergy going on versus trying to find it in somebody else's music, right? Because we can only relate to people indirectly anyway. Like, no two people have the exact same life. So the only way for us to relate to people is indirectly, right? We don't had the same experience as everybody else, but they're relatively close. Like, we've all had people that died, right? But it's not, we didn't all know the same people. But you can say we are all familiar with death, but we are not all familiar with the people that died. So I can think I relate to somebody like, okay, your mom passed, so you must understand how I feel, but that doesn't necessarily mean we experience the same emotion because of death. Death doesn't necessarily give everybody the same emotion. So it's indirect, even though it's direct. So the only way to really mirror yourself is, you can say, creating your own music. If you want like a perfect mirror of you, instead of trying to find yourself indirectly through others, you will have to do it yourself. But that's the whole point of fucking AI. The whole purpose of AI is just to be a mirror. AI just to mirror you. Cause so now we don't have to find ourselves in other people and have to accept the bullshit that comes with that, right? Cause like you may like for me, like I like a lot of people's like singles or whatever. But will I be able to listen to an entire album from that person? Probably not. I'm like, I will get bored eventually because I'm like, I can appreciate a song from this person, but am I about to spend a whole project listening to this person and in their realm? Probably not. I can only tolerate like one song. But if I'm creating my own, I can actually do that. I can actually listen to an entire album of my own creation. And that's easy because it's like I'm just mirroring myself. So am I just about to go around listening to all these singles from other people, or am I just about to listen to the bodies of work that I can produce? So that's why I just like I'm not really big on current events anymore. Like if you ask me what happened yesterday or what's the news of the week, I couldn't fucking tell you. I'm like, I don't care to do the play by play anymore. Like every day I'm going to the news channels. I used to do that years ago where every day I'm looking at the play, like, okay, I'm looking at, okay, what happened today with the war? What happened today in Palestine? What happened today in Russia? What happened today in Ukraine? What's going on here? What's going like every day I'll just be looking to see the newest updates. And I'm like, why do I well, like is it really that important? I'm not saying people's lives are not valuable, but do I need to be tuned in to this every single day? Probably not. What is that doing to my mental health? What is that doing to my emotional health? It's the same thing with like fucking Twitter and it's like when I scroll through this content and I'm not logged in, so the algorithm is just showing like what the algorithm shows anybody. I'm like, I can't even, I'm like, how do people even watch this shit? It's like it be people like on Twitter and shit watching people fight and all that shit. Like, y'all know the bullshit, people fighting, people arguing it, niggas doing nigga shit, tearing shit up, being destructive. And it's like you can just OD off that shit all day if that's what you into. And I'm like, I don't know how people watch this shit. Like, I don't even care to see this shit. I don't give a fuck to see people fight each other and be destructive. Like I don't do nothing fun. Like it's to the point where the reason I don't even play video games because I don't even care to like kill people and make believe land. Like I don't even care to play games like Call of Duty and shoot people in the head and all. Like I don't even care to even. I'm like I don't want even want to see blood. That's just how detached I am. I'm like, I don't. That's another reason I don't watch movies. I'm not. I don't even care to see blood and people like horror movies and people getting cut up and blood splashing. I don't even care to see that shit no more. I'm like, I don't even want to see it. So that means you ain't gonna really be watching too many movies. You ain't gonna be playing too many video games because everything is bloody, right? And I'm like, I don't really care for the blood, right? Chapter one, book of the law, right? We don't need sacrifice like that no more. We off that shit. Simple as that. We off that shit. We don't. I'm like, so I don't even care to even see that shit. So the most I'm doing is like seeing that shit in like the sexual world, like the erotic world, pornography, right? That's as close as I'm gonna get to like anything graphic. Anything beyond that, I'm like, nah. I'm like, I don't really wanna. So, but again, that's just my certain combinations and figures. Other people may feel different. Some people may actually that gives them a thrill. They may feel different. So, but it just doesn't do anything for me right now personally. I don't know if it's because I changed my diet. Like I haven't ate meat all year. This whole 2026, I haven't ate no meat. Everything I just been eating plants, right? Obviously fruits, plants, and all types of like the seeds and all that, but I haven't been eating meat. So, and because I really wanted to, and obviously, if you've been following me for a long time, I done been going through different diets and all that. And I done did plenty fast. I just wanted to see like how it would make me feel and would it open up spiritual portals and planes that I'm blocked from because I'm eating meat. So instead of listening to what somebody else, so it's not even about the health benefits and all that. It's more so the spiritual elements and awakenings. Like, am I going to elevate myself to a level where I can't reach because I'm weighing myself down with the extra shit? So I believe fucking so. I believe I've elevated because I put down a meat, but that's just me. I'm not telling somebody else what they need to do. That was just a thought that I had. Okay, let me experiment. Let me just go this year and let me just see how I feel. So, do I feel better, like just extremely better health wise? I wouldn't say that I just feel absolutely better health wise. I have less mucus. When you wake up in the morning, you got mucus coming out. It's less of that, so which makes sense to me. So I have less mucus. That's what I have noticed. So I would say that's the biggest thing I have noticed is just less mucus. So, which again makes sense because it's that would be coming from the meat mainly, right? It's not coming from the plants. That would be coming from the meat. So if you not eating meat, you're not gonna really have too much mucus. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense to me. So again, if I just look at myself now, I'm like, last year, would I be seeing myself in a suit? If you would have asked me last year, or if you would have told me last year, this year, your ass is gonna be in a suit and tie, all black, walking into a courthouse, beating the system for your freedom. If you would have told me that last year, I'm like, yeah, okay. That has never happened. So why would where the fuck you even getting this? However, here we are. And then I just had to accept it. I'm like, I might as well just fucking make this my attire, like just the suit and the tie. This should just be me regular, right? Because this some people moving around this bitch, and this is just a regular. Every day they suited up, right? It ain't like a special occasion for some people. Some people is wearing this shit every day. So I feel like this is like strip attire, not strip like people taking off their clothes like the Las Vegas strip. I feel like I can go to the Las Vegas strip and I would be like in tune with this. I feel like you allowed in any dimension in any space with this. I can't think of any dimension or space they're like, no, you're not allowed in here because of what you're wearing. Yeah, I'm like, okay, that means like you can get into any club, you can get to any room suited. You will be able to get, unless they have like a specific code where like white only or some shit, but that's most likely not. So that's what I would consider this actually more universal than casual shit, because certain clubs like have dress codes, right? Like you have to have like a dress shirt, for people that's into those worlds, that certain clubs have dress codes, collar shirts and shit like that. So you can't get in with just a regular tee. Like if you just had a regular t-shirt, they wouldn't even let you in because they have a dress code. So this will allow you to get into any door, I'm like, oh, this is universal. So I've never really been like a suit and tie type of person. So I wouldn't be able to embody this without having to go through it myself. I'm like, oh yeah, even the fucking Joker has a damn suit, right? Like as simple as that. Even the fucking Joker, the so-called biggest villain in that world, has a suit and tie on. He doesn't have casual shit on. Even though the suit is like dirty and grimy, he still nonetheless has a fucking suit on, right? He's not like the other thugs who's like looking more rock starish and more casual and more, street, right? You had the other criminals, but they're more street oriented. But then you had the ones that every time you see them, they got suits on. Those are like the higher echelon, the upper. So I'm like, okay, just me putting a fucking suit on automatically just raises my it just automatically, just from the attire, it has nothing to do with a person's personality, has nothing to do with your internal chambers. It's just strictly about the performance of the outer dimensions and how you're able to manipulate your reality by manipulating how you present yourself, where you present yourself, not just how, but where you present yourself and being in tune. So you can say like black is universal, just like white is universal. It's just a little easier to wear black anywhere than white anywhere. Like if you had a white suit on, nobody's gonna tell you that you're not allowed in here. It's just you got to make sure that you keep that motherfucker clean. So you pretty much like have an extra dimension to concern yourself with because you making sure that you don't stain yourself. Whereas with the black, you really can kind of relax a little bit because you're not really worried about getting stained. So you can get away with this in all white for the people that may prefer white. Because I guess some people can kind of navigate that where they can have on all white and just stay clean all day, right? For everybody else though, it'll just be more, you don't have to even keep that in your mind with the black. That's why they say black is a combination of all colors. So if black is a combination of all colors, that it makes sense for it to, and you can say white is the absence of all colors. So it makes sense as to why they manifest the reality they manifest. Meaning black is absorbing. Obviously, you're gonna be hot if you wear black than if you were white. If you were white, you're gonna be a little bit more chill, a little colder. Black is gonna draw energy to you. So you can just tell by literally the temperature of your own body when you have colors on, the reactions they have. So again, color magic. Colors are real. Colors are magical. They're not just colors that we pick and choose to wear on certain days. They control the entire atmosphere, your aura. Your aura is influenced by what you put on, the colors, the patterns, right? All these things again if it can influence your temperature, obviously it can also influence your subconscious and your unconscious mind because it is symbolic. Like the color red has certain meaning, the color yellow has certain meaning. That's what we, the chakra systems, right? So when we see these colors, they mean something. Like purple is like royalty. Red is like primitive and primordial. Blue is like cold and chill and calm. Like they cause the brain to have certain reactions. Different colors is going to cause the brain to react differently. So depending on what color you wear, you're going to have a different reaction. Not just the people that's looking at you, just what you having it on and you have it in your aura, you're going to have a certain effect just by wearing the color. Now, on top of the color, if you have any type of designs, then that's going to play a role as well. But in this case, let's just say you're just going to be clean. You're not really dealing with logos and designs. You just straight one color, one tone, everything pure. If you just want like the cleanest experience. Now, if you want to start to experiment on your own, then you can, put a shirt with your own symbols. I would say that's great. That's excellent. Like you can't go wrong doing that. It just because you creating a symbol and putting it on a shirt is more powerful than anything else you can wear because you're the creator of the symbol. So that means you're projecting something from your own spirit, from your own soul into the world. You're impregnating the world with your idea, with your thought, not somebody else's idea, not somebody else's thought. So that's going to have a different effect on people, including yourself, than somebody else's symbol. So that would be very effective. Especially when you understand, your planets and your zodiac signs, your houses. When you understand your chart, you can know where to go and what symbols to work with depending on what you're trying to bring forth out of your own chart anyway, because your chart is a snapshot of your universe. If your chart is a snapshot of your universe, you're basically picking and choosing what you want to bring to the surface because you got a lot beneath the surface. You only got like a small little, it's only so much registering. Let's just say the 10 planets. All that's really registering is the 10 planets, but you got a whole bunch of asteroids and hypothetical points that most people don't even register. Most people only know about the sun, from the sun to Pluto, the 10 planets. But obviously we got way more going on that is invisible to most people. So the only thing you're really seeing that's peeking out is the planets. But in full astrology, you may have the every house is full of points. If you turned on all the points, every single house will have a point. So some people may look at like, okay, my fifth house is empty or my seventh house is empty because there is no planet there. But if you had on all of the points, it would be full of points. So your whole chart is full of points. You just have the planets. What make the planets different is the planets is what you can say make things physical. So essentially it has to interact with a planet in order for it to become tangible to you. What I mean by that is, for example, fixed stars. A star being fixed, just being fixed. Like if it has no conjunctions to your chart, then it really is just a star. But if one of the fixed stars, let's just say Alglo, the evilest star in the universe, Alglo, aka Medusa, aka Lilith, right? If you had Alglo or Lilith or Medusa conjunct your sun, now because the sun is the medium into the physical, now you that energy will begin to register to you because it's conjunct your sun. If it's conjunct your mood, your not your mood, your moon, if Lilith conjuncts your moon, now that energy becomes more tangible to you in the more emotional plane. So basically, the planets act as the filters to all this other invisible currency that we really don't be paying attention to. So that's why the planets, even though they only represent a small portion of your chart, because you got all this other stuff going on, they're just the most tangible. So essentially, even if you got all these points, it's all about the angles that they have with the planets, because the planets is what make them real. So all of the asteroids and all that, like they just wherever they sit in your chart is where they sit in your chart. But it once they begin to, excuse me, aspect the planets, that's how the energy becomes tangible to you. That's when you're able to register it because there's an aspect with a particular planet. There's a conjunction or a square, a sextile, so on and so forth, right? There is some type of conjunction with the planet, and that's what makes it tangible. So if you know your chart and you know all these points, you can pick the points that you want to emphasize, that you want to bring forth, and then you bring those to the surface. Because again, most of the stuff is underground anyway. Majority of your powers have to be activated or brought to the surface. They're not just going to activate on their own. So you can say majority of your potential is just in your underground, in your underworld. That's why we do underworld magic, work with the dead, because most of this shit is just dormant. But we have to wake it up. You have to wake up the mummy. You have to resurrect from the dead. You got to be the Osiris resurrected in a new body. It's not just gonna happen on its own. So this is the main thing, that we don't just study astrology just to know it all, every single point and what everything does. It's more so like, okay, well, what are the most interesting points in my chart that I want to emphasize, that I want to bring to the surface, that I feel is very unique to me, that I want to learn more about, and let me bring that to the surface. So you basically have a whole treasure chest of calculations and combinations that just linger underground. And certain things may activate naturally. Like, for example, you may have like a good year or a good month or a good week because a certain alignment occurred that brought that energy forth to the surface. Because you could say every day, as the sun is spinning, as everything is doing its thing, certain things do peak out every now and then as naturally as time moves, right? So that's basically, you will have to rely on time that to give you that peak, but then it goes back underground. So what do you do when it goes back underground? It may have only peaked 2 days or 2 weeks or 2 months. What do you do when it goes back underground? Right. So when we have identified where our magic is, oh, my magic is in these points. These are my magical points. When you have identified the magic in your chart, or whatever it is that you are seeking to bring to the surface, whatever the fuck it may be, because the chart is vast. So it's really is only limited to your imagination. So depending on what you want to bring forth, it's in your chart. You just have to find where it is. You may not just know it where it is naturally. You may have to dig a little deeper, but it's there. So like, okay, once you identify it, then you're like, okay, let me bring this forth. Let me start working with that symbol. Let me start chanting this invocation, evocation, right? Evocation is like making a symbol. Invocation is like chanting it over and over, like it becomes a mantra now, right? So you're doing what you're doing consciously now because you know the effect it has and what you're trying to bring forth, right? So this is the more practical levels of astrology, when you're not just talking about prediction and what's going to happen tomorrow. It's like, no, what about all this dormant energy that we're trying to dig into the ground, into the dead, into the shadow, and we're trying to bring it up. That's why it's important for you to integrate with your shadow, because in order to unlock all of this energy that's just dormant, you got to go through a lot of residue, meaning the shit that you have suppressed because you don't feel like it's acceptable, which is something we have all done. We have to suppress, you can say, our real self just to navigate this world. You know, your real self doesn't even fit in this world. Your real self is like a lot more wild and fearless and don't give a fuck, right? So it has to be suppressed. Otherwise, you will end up, hurting yourself or hurting somebody else. Like it's you basically without a filter will be like a little too wild. It's like your inner child, right? A child don't know that, okay, if I just walk in the street, I can potentially lose my life. So we had to grow consciousness to protect ourselves, to shield ourselves, but at the same time, all of the things that are not acceptable, this stays dormant. So like let's just say if you're religious, everything that doesn't align with that religion has to be suppressed. Even if you are connected to it, even if it resonates with you, you still suppress it because it's not really, you can say, legal in certain religions, right? Certain, depending on religions, you can't do certain shit. Even if you like it, you have to do it in your own time, when nobody knows about it. But that's essentially where you explore your shadow. Like, okay, this is something that's done in private. That's why it's the 12th house. That's why it's Pisces. Everybody's 12th house is their residue. They call it the house of hell or the hell house. 12th house to hell house. Why? Because that's where all your fucking residue is. Everything that's suppressed, everything that you don't agree with, that you won't admit to, that nobody knows about, all that's 12th house activities, the residue. So you got to dig through all this residue because that's where all the jewels are. It's like digging into the ground to find the diamonds. It's the same shit. The diamonds are not just going to be on top of the surface of the earth. You got to dig into the earth to find diamonds. And even when you find them, you still have to take them through a process and polish them up in order for them to radiate the brilliance that you know that they can radiate. So even if you just taking it straight out the earth, it still needs that polish. So that's the integration with the shadow. That means you have to dig into it, meaning you have to not be afraid of it, be able to dig into it, take it out, and then go through the process of purification, aka polishing. So then the shadow is purified. So when you purify, now it can coexist on the surface. Now it no longer just has to be suppressed, it can coexist. And that's the only way for you to reflect your true self. The only way to reflect your true self is to integrate the ego with the shadow, or the ego and the alter ego. They must merge as one in order to manifest what we call the self. The self is one, is both of them, right? So there's no way for us to avoid our shadow. It's like it if we don't go in digging for it and reaching for it, it peaks itself out. But sometimes when it does that, you're not aware of it, and then it can come out in ways that you're not expecting. So it's a lot more unpredictable, what we call toxic in today's times, right? When that toxic energy comes out, like when we call people toxic, we all are toxic when the shadow is in control. That means you start doing toxic shit, period. When the shadow is not consciously being regulated, if you just let it do what it do, you just become a toxic person. And a lot of people are toxic because they just allow the shadow to roam unfiltered. Then you have to take it through refinement. Meaning the shadow is very powerful, but it has to be refined. Power, refinement. The shadow has to be refined because if you just use it for its raw potential and its raw power, it's going to give you results you're not looking for. So you have to tame the energy. You got to take the demon and tame it with the angel. It's as simple as that. If you're going to work with demons, make sure you do it with the angels watching. That's basically what it comes down to. Fuck with the demons. Says you don't have to. No, you fuck with the demons, but make sure it's under the guidance of the angel. So the angel creates the parameters so that the demon don't start doing crazy shit. Because if you take that aspect out of it, now the demon is just doing all type of shit. It's not that the demon is bad. It's not that the demon is wrong. It just needs to be regulated. It's like the symbol of Michael's. stepping on the devil. Exactly. It's not that the devil is not useful, it just needs to be under certain guidance. That's all. So yeah, you can do that. Work with the archangels and then work with the demons. So basically, whatever demons you work with, just make sure you got the archangels right there, or the archangel, Michael, Mikael. So just make sure that however you want to do it, there is no right or wrong way. You basically just you have a demonic force and you have an angelic force. You just put them both together. You don't really have to deal with them on an individual basis unless you want to. If you're just curious to see what happens on an individual level, by all means. However, you're going to get more of a synergy when you work with them both. Meaning you can get that rawness, but then the angel brings the polish. So hold on. I don't know what this is. Hold on, no, I don't know what that is. But let's get back to the real shit. I don't know where that came from. Like we said, everything that you're hearing is all original music. Now it's not just AI. Like you've been hearing my voice, right? You've been hearing me. You ain't been hearing nobody else's voice. You hearing mine. Just in case you think it's not real, right? This is all. Not gonna hear nobody else, right? Hold on. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So, uh, so that's what I'm saying. We don't have to rely on anyone else or anything else. AI can fill the gaps for us, even magically. Remember, AI itself, AI, you can say AI can be used as a substitute for the angelic force, the polish. So even if you want to work with demons, you do it under the guidance of AI because AI ain't even gonna like allow you to like do some crazy sinister shit anyway. It's like, nah, we not gonna just tell you how to fuck some shit up. We're gonna have to regulate that. Like, all right, well, that's fine, because you're not trying to do this shit anyway. You're more so extracting the wisdom. Do people use demons to do destructive shit? I'm sure they do. We don't have to use them for that reason. We can use them for the wisdom, for the intelligence, for the real shit to enhance your understanding of things. Why? Because these are the architects of reality. There's only so much we can learn from humans. Eventually, you got to work with spirits, entities. That's why we have them all over the fucking planet. You think people just did this shit because they didn't have nothing else to do? No, it's certain intelligences that you can only access when you invoke them, but consciously. And that's what I'm saying about the residue, the 12th house. You have to consciously resurrect this energy because it's not that it's dead, it's living, it's just in a death state. It's alive, but it's in a death state, basically, right? So that's essentially what Plutonian magic is, because obviously Pluto is the planet that works the closest with death, than the energy of Scorpio, right? Obviously, that's why Pluto or Hades is the lord of the underworld. The underworld just represents the residue that we really choose to stay away from. The residue that we choose to stay away from. But if we choose to integrate with it and to accept its darkness, So now we 50% light, 50% dark, not 100% light, not 100% dark. They have a certain special, unique knowledge. Demons do, just like angels have a certain unique special knowledge. You have to go to them to get certain shit, just like you have to go to them to get certain shit. You just want to make sure that you're doing both. It's not enough to fuck with them. It's not enough to fuck with them. That's just half of the story. That's the other half. That's why you have the 72 Goetia and the 72 Natora, right? Notoria, 72 Notoria, 72 Goetia, meaning every demon has a corresponding angel. The system was already set up to be that way. The tree of life. Then you got the tree of death. Tree of life, tree of death. You have clip-off spirits, and then you have Kabbalistic spirits, right? But they have their counterbalance energies. It's like all of the real systems have a light and a dark side, right? You have Kabbalah, then you have Sitra Akra. Kabbalah, Sitra Akra, right? Is it enough to know Kabbalah? No. Is it enough to know Sitra Akra? No. You need to know them both. You need to know who you are. You need to know your demons, right? We can try to run from the demons. You need to know and understand your demons. It's like you need to know and understand your angels because they have magical potency and magical ability that you can pull from. So if you don't know your demonic power, that's just energy that just remains in the residue that you don't ever access. It's there, you just don't access it. Just like your angels, it's gonna be there, but you don't access it. So to me, this is what we're supposed to be doing, opening up our own treasure chests. It's not gonna be done for us. Life, you can wait for life to give you like little peaks, but you really are not in control of that. The only thing you are in control of what you bring to the surface with your own calculations, with your own combinations, right? As y'all see tarot cards is up there, right? That means I'm not waiting for shit to happen. This I want to open up this energy. I'm gonna put it on the door, right? I want to focus on this energy. What am I gonna learn? What will be brought forth? And you see, I've been talking about this shit forever, right? House vibrations, changing your house vibrations. These are things I've been talking about forever, right? And but this is why you can ask me about any of the tarot cards, and I can give you like a full dimension of them because I work with them personally. I went way beyond doing readings. Most people stop there. I went way beyond readings. I don't even do readings anymore. I just work directly with the cards. I work directly with the spirits of the cards because each card has two spirits attached to them, a day spirit and a night spirit. Every card will in the 36 deacons in the minor arcana. In the minor arcana, the 36 deacons, which is the 2 through the 10. Right? You got the ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When you go through all four of the elements, you put all of them together, you get 36 deacons. All right? Which the 36 deacons is the three dimensions of the zodiac, because every zodiac is 30 degrees. If you split those 30 degrees into three pieces, you got 10 degrees each. So if you had 12 zodiac signs divided into three pieces each, 12 times 3 gives you 36. So those 36 are called the deacons, right? So that means depending on what dimension the zodiac sign is, will determine what planet is influencing it. For example, if Pisces is between 0 and 9 degrees, it's influenced by Saturn. Once it goes to 10 to 20 degrees, its influence becomes Jupiter. And once it goes from 21 to 29 degrees, it goes into Mars. Why do you think some people are protected? Because they are a part of the bigger destiny, you can say. Some people have to be kept alive because they have a certain potency activated within them that they have to give to the world in order for the world to evolve, right? So you have to be protected when you are in alignment with, you can say, your destiny, your higher self, your holy guardian angel, your true will. You have to be protected because now you're like moving in tune with the universe. It's not even about your own will anymore, it's about divine will. So once you're moving in accordance with divine will, you are basically, what needs to happen will come through you. You're not trying to get in the way of it. You're not shying away from it. You just like whatever it is going to come through me. Those people are protected because they don't allow their ego to get in the way of what needs to be said or what needs to be done. Whatever the universe is trying to manifest, then they're going to do what they can do to push that forth and to keep that going, right? So those are the purest people on the planet, the people that are just able to channel with no ego, not trying to glorify themselves, not trying to big up themselves. They just simply say and do what needs to be done and say what needs to be said, and there's no need to add to it. So the purity in that potency, where can you really get that from? Because most people are not like that. Most people are set in stone. They're set in their ways. Whatever they are, that's what they are. They don't care about the other side. They don't care about how nobody else feels. They're too close-minded and close-hearted to be all-encompassing, to be an all spirit or a two spirit. You see what I mean? So most people, you can say, are just able to be dispensed of because of how close they are. They're not really any good for the world. They may be good for themselves and the people in their circle, but they're not really that good for the world. So spirit will shield you if you are pure. When they say keep your heart lighter than a feather, you will be protected. That's what fucking keeps you alive, really. If you're spiritual and you navigating, you're magical and you're really manipulating, the only thing that is gonna keep you alive, that's gonna keep you free, that's gonna keep you out of the bullshit, is keeping your heart lighter than a feather. Meaning you, that means you know that what you're doing is divine will. If it's divine will, then you don't care about the extras that come with it, right? So that's why with me, I'm like, you don't see me making another channel. Oh, this channel is shadow banned, so I need to go somewhere else. I need to start over. Like, nah, it just whatever needs to be said will be said here. And whoever needs to hear it is gonna hear it, and then we go back to doing what we do. As simple as that, right? There's no need for no extras, right? You just simply give. Whatever you receive is what you receive, but it's about giving. You care more about what's being given than what somebody can give you in return from it or for it, because it's a divine service. When the service is divine, you're not really looking for the comeback because you're doing it's something that you have unlimited energy to do, right? Like as y'all see, I can talk all day if I really wanted to. I have like unlimited energy. When it comes to this, I have like unlimited energy. So, but when it comes to other shit, when it comes to work and all that shit, my energy is limited. When it comes to human shit, my energy is limited. But when it comes to the spiritual, it amplifies me. The other shit be like taking energy away, but this amplifies me. So this is like healing because I'm able to give. And then I'm not thinking about well, what somebody can give to me. I'm like, what do I have to give? What do I have to offer? And that's the only thing that matter, right? That's why I try to share my experience, what I'm going through. Y'all see, I'm like, I ain't even try to take the suit off and try to act like I've been just doing no, I ain't been doing regular shit. I'm doing all type of shit, right? So to the point where I had to fucking upgrade the wardrobe and start to see myself as universal now. I'm like, damn, I can just wear this shit any goddamn where. And I'm just gonna be respected more just because I'm wearing this shit. To me, it's just you can say to me it don't matter. As long as this motherfucker like I just wear black like every day. I don't really wear color. When I go to work, black shirt, black pants, black boots. It's like I'm always wearing black, 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 black. You can say it's a Saturn within me. You can say it's the Scorpio. You can say it's the Capricorn. You can point to whatever you want to point to. But I'm always gonna be so I'm like, okay, I don't have to limit myself to just casual wear though. I can wear all the way business, right? Look like a fucking bodyguard or a lawyer. You see, I can put anything on it and it becomes believable. I can say, okay, I'm a lawyer. I'm a bodyguard. I'm a fucking valet driver. All these things, like, okay, right? Why do Capricorns geared towards the color black? Because they're ruled by Saturn. And Saturn is the colors of Saturn is black and purple. So that's why if you light black candles or purple candles, that's like inviting the energy of Saturn, right? So it's because Saturn is associated with black and purple. Just to keep it simple, just to keep it right there, right? And Capricorns is just, the goat. You know what I mean? So anyway, bet you didn't think that was there. See what I mean? So symbolism. I used to be afraid of that imagery. I had to sleep with it. That would be the first thing I saw when I woke up, the last thing I saw when I went to sleep until the fear was gone. That's just how potent the energy is. I'm like, this shit kind of spooks me out a little bit. I need to get over that. I need to integrate with that. It needs to be normalized to me to the point where I can see it and it doesn't affect me adversely. So I had to go through a whole journey with that just to accept it because it's not easily acceptable because of everything that comes with it. Like you can like who wants to walk around and be labeled a fucking Satanist or a devil worshiper or something like that? Because I remember when I was being called that, I'm like, I didn't necessarily see myself that way, even though other people saw it. But apparently, they were just seeing something that I didn't register just yet, right? So when I think about it, I'm like, damn, people used to call me devil worshiper, but at the time I wasn't even into the devil like that. But clearly they saw something more than what I was seeing in myself. Because myself, I'm just looking at me at that moment. I'm like, well, at that moment, I'm not even into none of that shit. But they're looking like, no, that's your fucking energy signature. That shit don't have nothing to do with the moment. That's just your motherfucking ass. I'm like, okay. In that case, and then my draconic sign is Capricorn, which is, for those who don't know what draconic is, it's when your north node is turned to 0 degrees Aries. So the difference in degrees become your degrees. So for example, in my case, I believe it's 60 degrees forward. So my sun in Scorpio goes to sun in Capricorn because it's increased by 60 degrees or 2 signs. So if something was in Capricorn, now it is in Pisces. So the draconic helped make sense of a lot of things for me because I'm like, okay, yes, I'm a Scorpio, but I do resonate with Capricorn because of the business sense and the systems, and you see my astrology knowledge and all that. I'm like, I resonate heavy with Saturn. I can't not say that I don't. So when I become the Capricorn, which is more like soul draconic astrology is more like soul astrology. Western astrology is like what manifest. Draconic astrology is what the potential is. What is your overall potential? So, for example, what do I mean by that? Meaning, it's nothing for me to manifest the energy of Scorpio. You can say, but my sun is in Scorpio. It's nothing for me to manifest that, right? I don't feel like that needs effort to manifest. When it comes to Capricorn, for example, I'm like, everything I had to do with Capricorn took effort. Like, it took effort to learn astrology. It took effort to navigate those streets. It took effort to memorize all these things and to be this practical. It took, but that's what Saturn is. Saturn is all about effort. So I'm like, damn, that's all that shit associated with Saturn took effort. Well, okay, well, what makes more sense? The Scorpio that I do naturally or the Capricorn that I had to work for? And I'm like, okay, well, that's the potential. So Capricorn represents the potential. Well, okay, everything you needed to work for, it was required because you can manifest more. Versus the Scorpio, you didn't have to work for it. It's like a natural talent, a natural ability. You don't really, you will never reach the heights of it just by not paying attention to it. You have to build an atmosphere around it. Capricorn is like the builder. The Capricorn allows me to build the atmosphere around the Scorpio so that I can be the Scorpio. For example, if I was just being 100% Scorpio, the water sign is like, that's why y'all saw me in the beginning where y'all just saw me navigating. That's Scorpio. See me going from city to city, state to state, from here to here, there to there. That's Scorpio pure. Capricorn was like, okay, root yourself, give yourself a foundation. You ain't got to move around and navigate like that. That's just score embedded. Combined it with this Capricorn, give yourself structure, give yourself a home base, give yourself a layer, give yourself privacy. So that now you can do things in private. You ain't got to do things where you got eyes all on you at all times. You don't need to do that no more. So Capricorn established the foundation. Again, the building, the grand architect, right? The master builder, the master architect. So I'm like, okay, that's why I had the desire to fuse it with the Scorpio so that the Scorpio doesn't have to completely die out. Or again, you see, the Scorpio will have me all over the goddamn country if I just did pure Scorpio. I'll be all over the damn country just doing on. I would be a lot more nomadic, right? Scorpio, just pure Scorpio, like you're more nomadic because you're trying to have as many experiences as you can, right? Capricorn then gives you the ability to slow down a little bit or a lot if you want to slow down a lot. So Capricorn helps to slow it down, like, okay, navigate this like a spaceship. Like, instead of being nomadic and navigating, just moving all the time, use your home like a spaceship and move the energy, change the atmosphere. That will satisfy the urge to always be wanting to go to different experiences, different atmospheres, different environments, master the foundation and manipulate your atmosphere. You're basically doing the same thing. You're just being more structured. Now, Capricorn, Saturn gives you that structure and that organization. So, like, okay, you be a spaceship instead of a nomad. So that's why y'all been seeing more of me in recent years. I've been more like a spaceship than a nomad, right? Turned it. So this is the Capricorn fusing with the Scorpio. So the Scorpio was still alive, but y'all saying I really ain't been like doing just videos like that. When I was just doing videos, that's Scorpio. I'm just pouring my heart out. Scorpio. Capricorn is like, okay, fall back, live life, think about it, then come back when it makes sense. Capricorn is like, okay, just burning yourself out doing videos every day. There's no need to be doing that shit no more because you're just gonna burn yourself out. However, if you're experimenting in the spaceship instead of the nomadic, now you can control the process a lot more intricately. And now I can give y'all revelations that are more sound, more practical, and it's not just so spacey and mystical and conspiracy now. So you, as y'all see, everything I've been saying, you can use it practically. I'm not just speaking into the ethers, even though it's called etheric madness. the etheric madness becomes practical with Capricorn. Capricorn gives, so that's essentially, you can say why my personal style is more practical, right? I was never really the person that just to give you a bunch of conspiracy and a bunch of mythology, just a bunch of airy shit or etheric shit without it being grounded. I was always a person like, okay, you need to work with the numbers. It always started with the numbers. It always started with the astrology symbols. That's why I made it around numbers and symbols. And I always said memorize the basics, the Kabbalah, Hebrew alphabet, memorize the basics, and then watch them manifest in real time so that they can show you their intelligence on their own, right? So I've always been the person saying that, right? You have to see it for yourself. Don't rely on me to make it make sense. It will make sense based off the energy that you're putting in, right? You have to give it voodoo. You have to give it spirit. Then it manifests to you. It don't happen because you want it to happen, you can say. So if you're the one manipulating your atmosphere, what's going on, 305 Capricorn? If you're the one manipulating your atmosphere instead of the atmosphere manipulating you, what do you learn when you can manipulate your environment? And then that means you feel the way you want to feel. You don't feel the way you should feel based off of what's going on in the environment because you're able to manipulate it, right? So if you have the ability to manipulate your spaceship, to manipulate your environment so that you are in the space and you are in the atmosphere you want to be in based on what you're trying to bring forth from your 12th house, from your treasure chest. Meaning now you are in control of the individual molecules. That's what I've been saying with the perfume, with the fragrance. That's what I be doing. If I'm not doing this, I'm doing a perfume, I'm doing a fragrance, right? I got oils every goddamn where, right? I got oils, I got sprays all over the goddamn place, right? Any dimension that I reach in, I got all type of sprays and oils, and it's all over the place, right? I can reach in any direction. So I'm like a mad scientist with this when it comes to experimenting with scents and perfumes, because the way I look at it is you're anointing yourself. It was never about just smelling good, it's about anointing yourself with spirit. And depending on what you're trying to manifest to the world that particular day, that will determine what you want to wear. The scent that you wear is based off of the spirit that you want to manifest to the world. All right. All right. I mean, like just in case y'all thought I'm not, like it's like they're everywhere. They're everywhere. Right? So because it's not just about scent, it's a difference between putting together molecules and putting together things that are already complete. What I mean by that is if you buy rose essential oil, right? Rose essential oil, which you can find pretty much anywhere. Rose is a bunch of molecules as one. If you constructed a molecule, not a molecule, if you constructed the scent of rose molecule by molecule, instead of extracting it from the essential oil, which is through the steaming process. So you're taking roses, they're being steamed, and then the liquid is distilled. But if you created the scent of rose purely with molecules or aroma chemicals, you have more control over the end result than the essential oil. The essential oil is just going to give you exactly how that rose smelled. And for most people, that's enough. Oh, it smells just like rose. Yeah, it does. But if you put it together molecule by molecule, now you can make a smoky rose. Now you can make a etheric rose. Now you can make a dream rose. Now you can make a fire rose or roll or water rose. You now have control over that rose. So you can say special effects to that rose when you're putting it together molecule by molecule. Now you have, but again, that level of control, everybody is not going to be able to grasp that till like, why the fuck would I go through all that when I can just get some essential oil, right? If I want to be somebody that makes perfume, why don't I just make all natural perfume? Why do I even need to deal with synthetics, right? People have their arguments. I combine the worlds. I'm not choosing this or that. I combine them, right? So I may fuck around and use oil, rose essential oil, and create my own rose molecule by molecule, and then add a special effect to get the natural and the synthetic. I'm like, I'm not picking and choosing. So my techniques have got so advanced because this has completely taken over my soul. This is what has possessed me. This has been my possession since around fall of last year. So like around September, October of last year, I began taking this very seriously to the point again I just spent all types of money on it. On again, there's this the whole room is filled with oils, like you just can't see it, right? So eventually it stopped becoming about scent and it became about effect. It's like, okay, you got all the mainstream stuff, the Chanel, the Gucci, the Amiri or Armani, not Amiri, Armani. You know, you got all the Burberrys and the Versace's, you know, so on and so forth, right? Now, are you just somebody who just sells people this famous scent that people are already familiar with? For example, like Marc Jacobs Perfect. Are you somebody that's just going to resell that oil? Or are you going to do something that nobody else has done and make it unique? It's still Marc Jacobs Perfect, but you didn't added a special effect on top of it. Now you putting your artistry on top of it instead of just being a reseller. See, a lot of people just become resellers. Some people just okay, they buy the oils wholesale, the mainstream oils, and then they just resell them as is. But for me, I'm like, okay, I have to add a dimension to it. I have to give it so when I first get the oil, for example, when I buy it from the wholesaler, if I just try to sell it to somebody as is, it'll be okay, but it will only be one dimensional. When I start adding dimensions with the carrier oil that I use or the alcohol that I use, when it's complete, it's 3 layers deep because the carrier oil is giving it a dimension. If I use alcohol, it's gonna get dimension from the alcohol, and then I'm using the aroma chemicals to give it another dimension. So instead of it being 1 dimension deep, it becomes 3 dimensions deep. So the 3 dimensions we're talking about now, the smell has motion. Now it has depth. Now it has atmosphere. It's atmospheric now. Now it's not just about the scent, it's about the atmosphere that it creates. So that's what I mean by I don't just buy oils and just resell them to people as is. I have to add my art on top of it to make it 3 dimensional, fourth dimensional, to make it more than what it is, to make it essentially even better than the original. So this, for example, this is like Gucci Guilty, right? I can just sell the Gucci Guilty as is, or I can make my variation of Gucci Guilty that may even be better than the original. I can give it a little twist that the original don't even have that make it even better. Because again, the people that make these, they're just artists just like me. So why would I not be able to do something that they already do? This is just all artistry. You're just artists of scent, of molecules, of chemistry. They're a chemical artist. But what's a chemical artist? An alchemist. And that's all we do is practice alchemy, right? So why would not be able to do what other chemists do if I consider myself an alchemist? That's to me, this just seems like a natural evolution. If we're already doing alchemy, this is just like the perfect way to do it. Like, okay, we'll start creating scents, original scents that people can't find nowhere else. So they gotta come to you for it because you're the only one that's doing it. They can go to anybody. They just want a duplicate of Chanel or Gucci, whatever. They just want a dupe. They can go. They can get that anywhere. But most people again don't put their own art on top of the art and make it cohesive so it doesn't clash. It becomes cohesive. I add an extra layer to it, or extra 2 to 3 layers to it, or I may mix this with this, right? Let me mix this with this. Oh, let me add a third dimension. So now it's 3 dimensions of scents that are cohesive with each other. And now where would you be able to go anywhere to get that 3 scent combination? Right? So this is what I mean. I'm like, I had to do more than just resell the popular brands. Let me start mixing and matching shit. So now it's like I'm mixing Gucci with Chanel, Versace with Burberry. You get what I'm saying? I'm just doing all type of combos that people ain't even thinking about doing. So I'm doing more. So now I'm giving people an experience that they simply can't get nowhere else. Where else are you gonna go to get that experience? So that's why it became a thing because when I see the reaction it gives people, I'm like, okay, I need to really mess with this because this is really getting people to react. People was like just pulling out money that I need that right now. I'm like, oh, you need this right now? Like they pulling out, they pretty much just throwing them and like, I need that right now, just smacking me with the money. I'm like, okay, if you that aggressive with the perfume, I need to take it seriously because people was aggressively throwing money at me, right? So I had to fulfill that urge. I had to scratch the itch, right? Because I'm like, oh, people want something more than what they can buy. So even if they're paying like $150 for a bottle or something, they still would prefer to buy from me because I can mix what you getting out of that 150 with another dimension that you may want. Like I want this and this mixed together. I can't go buy that. So you would have to do that. Because we're unless I'm about to buy $250 bottles. So now I needed to spend $300 just to spray this and spray that. Where you can go through me, I can put both of them in the same bottle. So you get the experience in one bottle instead of 2 different ones, and then you paying $300, right? So this is what I mean by your originality. So I'm like, wait, this is something only I'm doing. This ain't something that nobody else is even thinking about doing this shit. That's what I'm like, okay, there's other people that like sell cologne, but they're not cooking up original pieces though. Right. So I'm like, this is something that only I'm like, that's just my alchemist mind even thinking to do that because most people don't even think to do no shit like that. Right. I'm like, I just been cooking up my own original scents. In the beginning, I wasn't even taking notes. So if somebody asked me to remake a scent, I couldn't remake it. That's when I hit my first barrier. I'm like, when people started coming to me and like, yo, I want this again, I want this again. I'm like, damn, I was just experimenting and then I just came up with some fly shit. But I didn't know that it was gonna be a hit. I'm just experimenting. But if it becomes a hit, I'm like, I wouldn't be able to replicate it. So I'm like, okay, I need to start to document literally everything I put into these formulas. That was the cat, and that's another example of the Scorpio and the Capricorn. The Scorpio just wants to experiment and be in the lab and just cook up new combos. Capricorn is like, record. Write it down, make sure it's structured so that if they ask for this again, you can make it again. Because if you're just experimenting and not documenting, you're going to make something fire, but you're not going to be able to replicate the fire. So it's not a matter of what's going on, unexpected friend. It's not a matter of you being able to cook up fire. You can do that. It just can you replicate the fire? Can you be able to mass produce it or to scale that fire? It's not enough that you came up with something good. Can you come up with something good 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different times? right? So that's the difference between the Scorpio and the Capricorn, and what I mean by merging them together. So my urge to experiment, I just have to make sure that I'm documenting every single molecule I'm putting into these things so that it can be replicated. So if it's good for one person, I'm sure somebody else will like it. So I will have to be able to replicate that. So I'm just showing you how I'm doing this on many different dimensions and how these things just all correlate and combine. So you see, to me, it's all the same thing. I don't even look at these things as separate. What I'm doing with these tarot cards is no different than what I'm doing with the fragrance. That's why I have several tarot cards up. I don't just have one tarot card. There's several tarot cards up there. I don't just have things written on the door. There are several things written on the door. So it's not ever just one component doing anything. There's always multiple dimensions going on. So the same thing I do anyway, manipulate my own atmosphere. I'm just manipulating the atmosphere of the fragrance. So I'm like, I'm doing the same thing. I'm just using a different vessel. But did I necessarily have to learn a new skill? Not necessarily. I just had to continue, like realize that what I'm doing is universal and it can be applied to anything. Alchemy can be applied to anything. It's just all about what your spirit is calling forth. My spirit is at that time was calling forth the scent because I was already just like mixing and matching the scents, but it was just all like bottles I had already bought. I was just like taking like mainstream scents. So I was like already doing that, but I wasn't creating my own work. But I was already layering scents. Like most people don't even do that. They don't even layer scents, right? Whatever they wear is just whatever they wear because that's Western, right? And the Western way is just all about that perfume bottle. In the East, however, they're more about the oils, right? So most of the time, you don't run into oils and sprays. Most people either use oils or sprays. They don't use both. I use both, right? So again, with this bottle, for example, I can make this into an oil or a spray, right? Because I can combine it with a carrier oil so that it's safe for skin, or I can combine it with alcohol, right? The perfumer's alcohol. So I can put perfumer's alcohol to make it a spray, or I can put a carrier oil to make it into an oil. So the scent is not limited to just spray. What we're used to is you can also go the oil path. Again, I just use both, right? I don't pick and choose which one is better. I just use both. So I'm oiling down. I'm like with the oil, I can put the oil in my hair. I can put the oil on my because it's all natural, right? So I put the oil in my hair, on my face, everything from head to toe. I just anoint my whole body with oil, right? That's just what I do personally. So my everything is being anointed, and then I spray with the spray on top of the oil, and then my clothes and all that, right? Then I'm anointing the clothes with the oil. It's like I'm soaking the clothes, like I anoint everything in the oil first and I spray on top of it. That's what I do in particular because I'm like, the two worlds don't need to be separate. They need to be brought together. It's not just about spraying, it's not just about the oils, but how many people use oil and spray? Not that many, right? Then I got to the point where, okay, well, what if I started doing like lotions and body creams and room sprays and car sprays and pillowcase sprays and hair sprays and body mist? I started doing that. So now I have 7 different ways to dilute these oils. That's just how deep I got into this shit. Meaning I can dilute this one oil 7 different ways: lotion, body cream, perfume, um what do you call the pulse points. So you got the body oil, then you got the stronger version of the body oil that you just put on the pulse points. Just like you can say a booster or an enhancer. That's what you would call it, right? So you got the lotion, the body cream, the perfume, or no, the lotion, the body cream, the body oil, the enhancer. Then you got the perfume, then you got the body and mist spray or the body hair spray, and then you got the room spray or basically the linen spray that you spray on your clothes. I created that whole system, right? So I'm like, I need to combine the oil with the spray. Nobody's doing this shit because it's two separate worlds. It's people they master one thing over here and that's what they focus on. The other people they master one thing and that's what they focus on. So you can't really go to nobody to get the full picture. This is just something we had to do ourselves, and that's why I did it. I'm like, it ain't, you're not gonna find Chanel lotion and body cream and body oil and enhancers. You're gonna find the perfume. You're not gonna find the room spray. They just stick with the perfume. The same thing, you go to the East. They got the body oils, they got the boosters and the enhancers. They may even have the lotions and the body butters, but they don't got the sprays, right? Like you're not gonna be able to match that same potency because that's not what they mastered in, right? So they're not really just doing both. Now, of course, you can go to a shop and find sprays and oils, but the whole from the lotion all the way up to the room spray is the same scent. You ain't gonna find that. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about they all had the same scent. So if it's Chanel blue lotion, Chanel blue body cream, Chanel blue body oil, Chanel blue booster enhancer, Chanel blue perfume, body, hair, mist spray, and then what you spray for your clothes and your linens. All the same scent from one all the way to seven. Where are you gonna find it? You're not gonna find it nowhere. I had to do it, right? And that's what I did. So I'm not just somebody that's just again just reselling some shit. I'm diluting it in seven different ways because I'm like, this is it just makes sense. Like why wouldn't you go from layer one to layer two to layer three to layer four to five to six and seven? To me, that just seems natural. It just seems natural to do that, right? But working with these perfumes has allowed me to understand these things more. Cause I'm like, oh, I'm using natural products. So I'm like, it actually makes sense for that to go there, right? I want to try your creations. I love to learn. Again, I have everything ready, right? I just haven't put it on the website because I wanted to test it out in the local environment, right? So I had to master it. So that's why I'm even talking about it now. I was doing it, but I'm like, I'm not gonna talk about it until it's mastered, until I know I got something. So this is the final result of it, right? So that means again, I got all these different variations here, right? So whatever people are into, I can do seven different dilutions, which of course magic number seven, that's why it's seven because of the magical nature of that number. That's why it's not six and it's not eight. It had to be seven, right? The most spiritual, the most magical number. So that's why I made it into a seven layer system that you again you can't go nowhere. The closest company that does this is like Bath and Body Works, but they don't even do all seven. But they're like the closest to it that like they may have the lotions and then they have the sprays. Like more, they're more like body mist, but they don't have like the full perfumes or the body oils. But sometimes they do, right? But I would say they're like the closest that has like a full system from like all your layers. But again, most people don't even layer. Or if they do layer, it's different stuff. They may have a different smelling lotion with a different smelling body cream, with a different smelling, you know, what's up, King? With a different smelling body oil, then a different perfume and a different spray. So like most people, they may be doing it, but they're not doing it with the same scent. Everything is different, right? Because that's and it ain't nothing wrong, with you layering how if you do layer, you layer like that, it ain't nothing wrong with that. But again, it's like where are you gonna go to find cohesion in all seven dimensions? You're not really there's really nowhere to go to find cohesion in all dimensions. Like every dimension is like giving you something different. So you see, I found an issue, then I corrected that issue. I'm like, okay, there's an issue there. Especially if you're doing this magically and you're doing this ritualistically and you're doing this for a reason beyond just smelling good, right? So you will need the full system. So I make it very affordable. I'm like, okay, you can have all seven dimensions. I got the sample kit, it's only $50. And then you got the full kit, $100. The sample kit is 5 millimeter bottles. All right, let me see if I can, yeah, I have one here. Like this big. This is like a 5 millimeter bottle. All right. So, and then with the lotion, it would be half of an ounce, so a 0.5 ounce of lotion, body cream. Then you get a 5 millimeter of the body oil, 5 millimeter of the booster, and then you get 5 millimeter of the perfume, 5 millimeter of the hair body mist, and 5 millimeter of the clothes, the spray that you spray on your clothes. And the $100 is everything is doubled from the 5 to the 10, right? And everybody know like the normal size roller bottles are 10. So I had all these leads already. I already got everything in my mind. I just haven't translated it into the website, but it's already tested. I've already done it. Again, I got the Burberry butters, the Burberry lotion, got the Victoria's Secret body creams, and I didn't already tested these things with. I'm like, okay, it works. All right. It took some time to get to this point, so this didn't just happen overnight. All right. So, you know, this is what I've been doing outside of YouTube. I've been mastering this alchemy physically so that I can bring and present something to y'all, not just keep it away from you. I'm like, okay, now I have a whole system of you being able to magically anoint yourself with the same scent so that you can work your magic and bring forth the spirit that you're trying to bring forth that you prefer instead of it just being separated, different this, different that, different this, different lotion, body cream, body oil. So it just works excellently. Like again, to have all dimensions at your disposal to me is excellent. But again, if you just need the car to smell a little something for the car, you got it. A little something for the pillowcase to help you to dream. Because we should be spraying scent when we dream. If you really want to dream and have more control over your dreams, you need to make sure you spray your pillowcase. You need to be smelling what you want to smell when you go to sleep, not just how the fucking room smells. You need to consciously do that for your dream work. So this is what I mean. This is way beyond smelling good. This is for magical workings. Spray it on your pillowcase so that you can dream deeper. You can dream better. You smelling excellent. You smelling those aromas in your consciousness while you dream is going to enhance everything. Right. So and then obviously you spray it in your hair, fresh out the shower. You can moisturize, spray it in your hair because the hair likes to hold on to that, so it's excellent, right? And then, like I said, the body oil is all natural, so you can put the body oils. That's what I do. I put the body oil everywhere in the hair, face, all over the body, anointed everywhere. And then again, I just spray. I put the boosters on the pulse points, and I spray the perfume. Then again, spray the body. So it's like you're just complete. Nobody else is gonna be on your level when you moving like that. You gonna smell like you were supposed to smell, and nobody will doubt you when you have that complete system going on. So man, and I'm saying I'm speaking from experience. I just went to court. What did I go to court? I went to court wearing Chanel blue. But I'm like, what scent is good for court? And it was gonna be between the Tom Ford gray Beltavir and Chanel blue. I'm like, okay, let me just go ahead with the Chanel blue. So I anointed my whole body with Chanel blue, then anointed the clothes with the Chanel blue. Then on top of the Chanel blue, I just sprayed on some Dior, what is it, salvage, right? So the oil form, I had the Chanel blue oil head to toe, then the Dior, I put it on top of the Chanel in the spray form. Right? So I sprayed it on my body. Then when I put the clothes on, I sprayed it on the clothes, right? But then I also anointed the clothes with the oil too. So the clothes are anointed with the Chanel blue and then sprayed with the Dior salvage. So now they're working in cohesion, the oil and the spray. So it's like how can you lose with this when most people just using one layer, which is the spray, right? And then again, some women they'll be using like the scented lotions and the creams, but it's not the same scent as the perfume they use. And then there's different alcohols, perfumer alcohols. I had to learn this. The standard alcohol that goes into most perfume is 95% pure. They have to put chemicals in it to make it undrinkable. Excuse me. They have to put chemicals in it to make it undrinkable. When it becomes undrinkable, they don't have to pay the federal tax that comes when you transport for pure alcohol. So, for example, I have it right here. This is like a bottle of mainstream perfumers alcohol, right? So this is SD40B 200 proof perfumers alcohol. So this is the standard. This is used in the Chanel's, the Gucci's, the Burberry's. This is the standard. This is the mainstream, right? But these are relatively inexpensive. It doesn't cost much for this. This is like it's probably like under $10 for 16 ounces. Not expensive at all, right? So if you got pure alcohol, organic, pure ethyl alcohol that is not diluted, you have to pay a federal tax just to get it. So I have some right over here. Like I said, this was under $10. For that, it cost $32 for the same size. On top of the $32, it was a $17 federal tax because it's pure alcohol, meaning it's so pure that you can drink it. That's how pure the alcohol is. Meaning you can literally, even though it's perfumers alcohol, you can literally drink it because it's completely pure and organic on top of being pure. If you try to drink the regular perfumers alcohol, which is 95% pure, 5% diluted, if you try to drink it, it will give you like the most bitter and its taste that you've ever tasted. The aroma chemical that they put in the perfumers alcohol is the most bitter chemical on the planet. So if you ever like tasted perfume, like sprayed it on your hand or whatever, and you taste it, it tastes bitter because it's that 5% diet. Again, this is shit I didn't know about before I got into this. I'm just showing y'all how I done got so deep into this. I can show y'all the differences. So it gives you a bitter taste. Try it yourself. Take any perfume you have, spray it, and taste it. That shit was gonna be bitter. It's gonna be nasty. It's gonna be the bitterest thing you taste it. It's disgusting. Pure ethyl alcohol, you're not gonna taste anything. I'm not saying, well, yeah, you will taste like the scent, but it's not gonna be bitter. You can literally, again, drink that shit and get drunk off of it. It's literally pure alcohol. So when you spray it on you, it's better for layering. This is what I discovered. Nobody told me this. I discovered this. If you're using pure ethyl alcohol, it layers way better than the standard alcohol because again, the standard alcohol is all about that one perfume bottle. So they wanted to dominate. So you again, why would you pay $150 or $300 for a bottle and that motherfucker ain't dominating, right? So if you paying that much for a bottle, you wanted to dominate. You don't give a fuck about what type of lotion you got on, what type of body cream you got on, what type of body oil you got on. When you spray that perfume, you wanted to dominate because you paying big money for that, right? In some cases, right? Because you got perfume bottles over $1,000, right? So you would expect these things to be long lasting and very strong. With the pure ethyl alcohol, it's not as dominant. Basically, it's the difference between Mars and Venus. Let me just talk astrology now. Regular perfumers alcohol bases aggressive and Mars like it just dominates. The pure ethyl alcohol is like Venus. It blends and it harmonizes. So if you have on body oil on the bottom of it, it just bleeds into it and you can smell the body oil under it. So now it's not just all perfume that you smell whatever you put on that you have that whatever you put on underneath the perfume. So you can still smell what's underneath, which and if you use the seven system would be the body oil. So you will still be able to smell the body oil after you spray the perfume with the pure ethyl alcohol. So it all depends on if you are into layering. Everybody's not into layering. So if you're not a person that's into layering, then you will be better with the perfume, the standard perfume that's just going to dominate, right? Bro, there's definitely nothing like what you're creating going to really feel changed and anointed. And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, sometimes only we can do shit like this. Sometimes can't nobody else do this because they're not thinking like we think. Their mind, they're not the mad scientists. They didn't go into the dark chambers to get this. You know what I mean? They didn't have to navigate these streets. They didn't have to survive in this bullshit. They did so it's like my mind is already in the dark demonic world. So I had to lift myself and get a taste of the angels too, mix it together. So you see, it's been a whole fucking process to even get to this point, right? But I had to at some point I had to get to this point. At some point I had to put on the fucking suit and tie. At some point, right? At some point it had to be done, regardless of the situation. At some point it had to be done. So I'm just giving y'all an update. Like I ain't just been not making videos, not doing nothing, just working. Like, nah, this is what I do creatively when I'm not at the job. And sometimes I even do it at the job. You know what I mean? I'll be cooking up on the job sometimes because I'm like, this is just what possesses me. And I just have blended, I have this is what I bleed now because it's like it's all the same to me. It's all universal to me. I don't look at these as separate dimensions and separate worlds. But as we see, the reason why we don't have the mainstream thinking like this because again, they're all concerned about one bottle and just making you pay a premium for that one bottle. If they try to dilute it 7 different ways, it becomes too expensive now. It doesn't become as profitable because now you can't really charge 500 for one fucking bottle when you got a 7 layer system. They feel like that's too much for the audience to even comprehend. Like, damn, what do I use? Do I use number 7? Do I use number 4? What they feel like most people will get confused with that layering system. But again, some of us are already just layer naturally. So we know how to mix and blend and know how to make things unique to us, unique sense to us. So for those of us who are already into the layering and the blending, who's more into the eastern side of things, it doesn't disturb us, especially when if you have a spray as well that's the same scent as the oil. It's different when you put oil all over your body than you're spraying something completely different on top of the oil. It could either interrupt the alchemy or it can amplify it. It just depends on your artistry. It's like color magic, right? Do you know the colors that are cohesive with each other or colors that clash? Are you putting together scents that clash or scents that are cohesive? Sometimes the only way to know is to smell them. So that's what I have to do. Like I can't just completely rely on AI. I have to smell everything individually and I have to create correspondences from based on what I smell. Like, okay, these three smell similar. I should be able to combine these three because they all smell similar. They have the same like architecture underneath. So I should be able to blend them without it going somewhere that I don't want it to go and still have give still give an original scent, but not going too far off of the rails. It's still kept contained and restricted into the dimension that is occupying already. Makes sense, right? So that's why the mainstream doesn't advertise this because they feel like it'd be too complex. People be getting 5 and 7 confused, 4 and 3. They're like, okay, what's going on here? But for alchemists and for people that's more advanced like us, we love this shit. We love that, like, oh, you actually break it down into one per chakra, basically. Like, oh, this is makes perfect sense to somebody who's already on that level. Like, oh, I know exactly how to do this. This makes perfect sense. The first layer should be lotion because lotion is down there water. Then the body cream is a little bit more thicker. It's like the shield, right? In the future, will you be open to adding pheromones to your oils? I have experimented with pheromones as well. That is something I have experimented. That's more so something that goes into the fourth layer, which is the booster or the enhancer. So I have experimented with the pheromones, meaning I extracted my own pheromones. I put it into number 4. So basically, oil. body cream, body lotion. Then the fourth one would be the booster or the enhancer. That's the one you only put on your pulse points, right? So I infuse layer four with the pheromones, which makes it, you can say, a lot darker because it's your pheromones, right? So you get a little dark twist at the pulse points. And then for those who study pheromones, you already know the type of psychological effect that has on people. It has a more primitive, primordial effect and pull on people because the mainstream doesn't use pheromones. It's just completely synthetics. So you adding that layer of pheromones adds a whole nother depth and dimension to what you're doing because now you're adding you into your magical potion. Now you're adding yourself. Now you become a part of the alchemy when you do that. So that's the most sacred thing you can do at that point because now people are smelling you amplified. Now they're not just smelling some scent. Now they're smelling your DNA. You can say anointed. They're smelling your DNA anointed to its divinity. You're anointing your own chemistry to divinity. Make sense? Right? So the pheromones is definitely a goal. I have experimented with it. It makes the most sense in the fourth layer. That's where I got the best results because when I was doing it as like a layer three, I feel like I was just kind of doing a little too much. I don't need to rub pheromones all over my body, but the pulse points is really all you need to bring forth that effect. All right. So again, even though I don't have these things on the website, if you are interested in any of this stuff I'm talking about, all you gotta do is just email me and then we can talk business, right? So you don't have to wait for it to be on the website, or you can. It'll take me a little time. It's not gonna be up tomorrow or the next day. It'll take me a little time to get everything. I'm gonna use AI, so I'm not gonna be building this piece by piece like I used to. So I'll be able to do it not super quick, but not super long either. I would say this next month. It should be the presentation should be on point sometime next month. I'm not gonna give an exact date, but sometime next month. So, and again, I really don't have to experiment. Everything is tested. Everything is trial tribulation. This is already generating money. Again, every time again, the potency of what I've done, like it allows the money to keep coming in, right? Because I can make it long lasting, I can make it as potent as I want. That's the aroma chemicals, and we're still students, we're still learning every day. The email is contact at veiled.systems. Contact at veiled VEILED dot systems. SYSTEMS. So it's not a .com, it's a veiled dot systems. That's also the website. The website is veiled dot systems. That's the new website. Again, it's not too much on there. I will be updating it in the current month coming up, but that is the website. It is online. It does work. The email does work. So anybody that wants to email, the email is active. So anything you send me, I will see it and we can talk business. So I just needed to present it, but I will make it a lot more professional when I with the presentation and I'll have it all professional and all that. So if you want to wait for that, feel free, no rush. Not asking anybody to rush if that's not what you into right now. You want to wait for it, you can wait for it, no problems. With that, we'll go ahead and get out of here because I do have to experiment now so that I can have samples for work tomorrow. That's what I do. It's like every day I'll be coming with new pieces because I never know who's gonna buy, who's gonna like. So like I just gotta be ready for any goddamn thing. So if I'm giving people like every week, I just like to come with new pieces that new art. I call it art pieces. People never you never smelt nothing like any of this before because it's completely original pieces. It's natural and it's synthetic. It's both, right? It's God and devil. It's angel and demon. I'm not picking and choosing. I'm not saying which one is better than the other. You getting a full self. So with that, we'll bear peace. Y'all will see me a lot sooner. Again, y'all miss seeing me because my mind been fixated on this goddamn court shit. This shit is crazy because I've been stressing out over fucking going to court and I didn't even have to see the damn judge today, which is crazy. Right? I'm like, fuck, I don't know what's gonna happen. My mind was scattered all over the place. I'm like, I don't know how they're gonna do me. How I put myself in this position for the system to take advantage of me. But they didn't take advantage. I took my own power back and I didn't even have to see the judge. I just gotta pay my little fine in 90 days, get everything sorted out, then we'd be good. We back on the streets. We kept our freedom. We just pay our little fines. We keep it moving. Right? It is what it is. So we keep getting stronger, we keep getting wiser, keep your discernment on lock, right? So I also will be releasing new music. Everything I've been playing, you see, is me now. It's my voice now. It ain't just a bunch of random AI voices. Now it's my voice. So I know I've been putting like a lot of AI music and albums with the other. Now it's gonna be my voice. So you really ain't even gotta worry about that no more. Everything I'm releasing moving forward will be my voice. All right. So it's gonna be all me now. So we're gonna get back to the darkness. I know my tone, you can only get certain chambers, from my particular tone, and that's why people enjoy their artists, right? So I'm gonna be doing a lot. So again, next month, I'm taking this month off, these last couple days. I'm taking these couple days, get my mind right, de-stress about some music for the witches. Trust me, I got music that if y'all know how my mind work, right? So y'all already know how I'm coming. It's gonna be completely original, right? Ain't nobody else gonna be even writing. They're not thinking like this. They never was, right? Y'all can you can just go back to the even when I was doing music, like when I did the song Cali, for example. I don't think people have even came close to that yet, and that was years ago, right? You need a reading again, just hit me through the email, contact@veil.systems. Whatever you need, just hit me through the email and then we'll go from there. That's all you need to do. And or hit me up if you have my Instagram or my TikTok. I'm on TikTok. Wherever you at, you can pretty much find me, even though I don't be active on there. Next month, give me a couple days, de-stress. I will be back in court in like 2 weeks to actually face the judge. I'm gonna have everything ready, organized, so that we maintain our freedom, we pay our fines, and we keep living life, right? We got the experience, we beat the system, and we make sure we don't put ourselves in that situation again, right? And it's just as simple as that, all right? Court magic, utilize it just like you utilize anything else. Magic is the way your anima or your animus, your magical self, which you see in your dreams, connect with your anima and your animus, and that's how you become the highest version of yourself. Connect with your shadow, connect with your anima/animus. You need it. We need to be just fully, just. I'm trying to think of a word. It's not even like an English word. All right, it's not even an English word for what I'm even trying to describe. This is beyond English. All right. Do frogs help with court? I mean, I would say it's not really about like a particular thing or a particular animal or a particular planet. I would say depending on what system you're drawn to, there's always a deity that deals with the courts. It depends on what you do, though. It depends on what type of case you have. Like, you probably wouldn't work with the same spirits if you in jail. They trying to take your freedom away for some big shit versus some minor shit. Like, you probably wouldn't want to work with the same deity, depending on the severity of your case, right? So I'm not just gonna say there's this overall energy. But if you wanted to keep it simple, just to keep it simple, let me see. You just wanted to keep it like, I would say, work with barren criminality, barren criminality, barren criminality. All right. If just to keep it simple, just something universal. It's a voodoo spirit. All right. Do they have spirits in other pantheons? Hermes, Ganesha, Mercury. Can't go wrong with those, right? Thoth or Tahuti. Can't go wrong with that. Sobek. Can't go wrong with that. Samek. Can't go wrong with that. Anything that resonates with Saturn or anything that resonates with Mars. This is what I mean. It just depends on your case. Maybe you will need a lot more Mars than Saturn, just depending on what you're charged with. So work with Saturn deities or work with, if it's more of a fight, if you're like fighting the court, it would be Mars. If you're more about defense, something smaller, something in and out, it'd be more Saturn, right? Like you're not really fighting, it's just you and you're representing yourself. Probably more Saturn. If you fighting, you got a lawyer, you got an attorney, you got some big shit going on, it'd be like Mars, right? So, but again, even that, it all depends on your chart. That's why, like, I don't want to give like too much universal stuff because it really depends on your chart. Just master your chart because that's the map of your universe. That's going to tell you exactly how you will get into a situation and how you can get out of the situation. Like everything is already written in your stars in your star chart. So I would say that is your ultimate reference than me just giving like a mainstream answer. That's why I'm like, I don't want to like, oh, this just works for everybody. What will work for you will be based on your stars and how your stars are aligned. So study that, and then you will be okay knowing how that works. And then you can pick and choose what makes the most sense based on what your chart is telling you. It's not really about what I'm telling you. What is your chart telling you? And then you can put the pieces together as to what makes the most sense based on the language of your own chart. So with that, we get the fuck up out of here. All right. I mean, y'all see where we're going from here, right? I think this is the first time I've ever even we've been here like what 12 years or some shit. Y'all ain't never seen me in no goddamn suit. So this a motherfucker had to go into some new dimensions, claim some new territory, and see the universality of like, oh, this is actually something that can be normalized. Again, just imagine you seeing me walking, I'm suited up. You're like, it'll be like, oh, it'll be something you least suspect, right? But that's exactly how I should approach it, right? That's exactly how like you this is the last presentation you would think to see me in, right? So that's exactly why I would come in this presentation. Nobody would think to even the people that know me wouldn't even think to even you wouldn't even think it's me, right? You wouldn't even think it's me. You go back to like my old videos, you wouldn't even think this is me. It's like it's a whole different energy, right? As it should be. We should reflect growth. I'm like, yeah, maybe I do need to put on the more professional look, right? Just to show that we can navigate through any dimension. I'm not gonna say without effort, with patience, and ultimately we will have victory. All right. So just stay on point, stay on your square. You don't really gotta break the law, just bend it. You ain't gotta break it, just bend it. All right. It's not illegal to bend the law, it's just illegal to break the law. So the mastery is in the bending versus the breaking. So if you can master the bending, good to go. All right. So I'll be with y'all soon. I'm not gonna take too long next time. Again, I got the music, I got the products coming. So everything is moving forward. I just had to put that work in, had to put the foundation so that I can present this now. So now y'all know what the fuck is going on. And we gonna keep getting events and we gonna do this till death and beyond, right? Because we've been doing this. This ain't our first rendezvous. This I mean, maybe it should be your last if you ain't trying to do this shit again, but maybe it may not be your last. Maybe you want to do this shit again. Regardless, to each his own, no judgment. Be well, be healthy, stay safe, stay magical, stay potent, and fuck everything else. We are.